guys, and welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Luna's quite awake at the moment, so she might be moving about the house a little bit. We'll just let her and leave her to it. But I do apologise if there is any noise from over there, because she is on one at the moment. Without further ado, let's go. So today we are talking about anxiety attacks and panic attacks and the difference between the two. For me, I've had both of these and it's not fun. I assure you, it's not fun. And if you've experienced something like this before as well, guys, you will know what I'm talking about here. But if you haven't, or you're not sure if you have, then listen along, because there's a lot of stuff here that I've got to share with you. Panic attacks, guys. So this is where we're going to start, because panic attacks are the shorter version of this. Panic attacks and anxiety attacks are very, very similar, but the length of time that they last is different. So for a panic attack, usually for me, it's an instant thing, and it happens not necessarily with a trigger or anything. It will just happen and it will come on, and it's intense. It's really intense. So I have the heart rate going, and I have the sweaty palms, and I have the itchy skin, and just like I have pins and needles everywhere. Now, I have a list here that basically goes through all of the general symptoms that you would get, or some of the symptoms that you would get. These don't happen necessarily all at once, but they can happen all at once at the same time. She's just got a toy out of her box, for fuck's sake. So we've got the increased heart rate. So when your heart is pounding and you're like, ugh. Shortness of breath. So you might not be able to take a deep breath, and that can be quite, scary for some people. If you've not experienced this before, or it's something that comes on and you don't know what it is, it can make you feel like you're dying. So it's a horrible feeling, but you can't take that deep breath. Oh my God, the stomach flutters, guys. So, when you're about to do something that you might not have done before, I don't know, like the fear of the unknown, when you get that sort of feeling in your stomach, or when you're really excited as well. I get this when I'm really excited, and you get those flutters in your stomach. You get them, but they're more intense and they don't stop. They just keep going, or at least for me, they do. Shaking. Guys, I think I've shown you a few times that I sit here shaking when I'm doing these videos, because I get quite nervous about it. Today, fuck's sake, dog, chill it. Today, I'm actually quite relaxed. So, yeah, so I'm not actually shaking today, which is nice. But that's another symptom of a panic attack. You're shaking and you're jittering, fidgeting. Can't sit still. It's horrible. There's no trigger or warning. So like I said before, there's not necessarily a trigger. There's not necessarily something. There can be sometimes. There can be a trigger for that. So if something traumatic happens, that can trigger a panic attack. So it depends. But most of the time, there's not really a trigger, or there's not even any warning at all. It just happens, and you kind of have to take control of it, or let it run its course. So I mentioned before about you feel like you're dying, and you start to think that you're dying or you're losing control, and there's no way to hold on to that control. It's just kind of gone, and you feel like you're just floating around space and you don't know what's happening, and it's kind of delirium to a point where you just feel like, oh, it's just too much, and it's just a huge amount of panic that comes out of it, and it's just, not nice. You can sometimes, for some people, not for myself, because I've managed this, and I know when I'm having a panic attack, so I can put the coping mechanisms into place to be able to manage it and bring it down without it getting too far out of control. Now, if it does get out of control, I can get chest pains where I'm just so tense and my chest just feels so tight. It's, again, guys, I'm going to say this about all of them, but it's not nice. It's not nice. But luckily, like I say, I've got the coping mechanisms now that I've put in place so that when I do get a panic attack and it ensues with full force, I have those coping mechanisms to bring it back and hold myself back before I get the chest pains. They can last a few minutes or they can last hours. Generally, they don't last any longer than that. And it's just most of the time just a case of waiting for them to pass. So guys, that's all of the things that I can think of that cover what happens with a panic attack, and when I have experienced it, what I have experienced. So that's a panic attack. Now for an anxiety attack. So with anxiety attacks, it's very similar to a panic attack. However, the only two real similarities with this is that you get the increased heart rate and the shortness of breath. But everything else is a little bit different. So where I said to you before, you get the chest pains, with this it's more muscle tension. So the entirety of your body can feel really tense and like you haven't relaxed for a good while. And this can last a lot longer. So it can last days, it can last weeks, it can last months. It really does depend on whether you manage it or not. Sometimes even managing it, you are still going to keep going and it's still going to keep flowing for, however long it does flow for. So it's dependent really on how you are and how you're managing yourself and looking after yourself. Sometimes with this you can get disturbed sleep as well. So you're not sleeping through the night, you might sleep 2 hours, you might not sleep at all. And it can affect you like that. Now luckily for me, I absolutely adore my sleep and that is where I'm happiest. So I actually haven't had too many problems with sleeping. I believe that there's only been a handful of times where I have had problems sleeping, but when I have anxiety attacks, I do find it takes me longer to get to sleep at night. So again, that's disturbed sleep. The feelings that you get with this, so you have that dread in your stomach or you have that irritability, and that is what ultimately ebbs and flows. So you can feel okay, but you're still tense and you're still irritable, but you're okay. And then you can go to downwards and you can lose control a little bit more, and then you can have arguments and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden you're coming back up again and you're letting go of that dread and that anger, and it's now coming up to just the irritability again, where you're just not comfortable, I'm not happy. And like I say guys, this can last like days, this can last months, it can last as long as it will be sustained ultimately. So as long as you don't take control of it, it will carry on. So it's up to us to kind of put things in place so that we don't sit with this anxiety for so long. The panic attacks are an instant thing. They happen without warning, and it's kind of a burst of energy. And then once you're through that, and once you've taken or tried to take a few deep breaths and try and center yourself, just bring your heart rate down and calm yourself, it's gone. And you will wonder what the fuck happened and why the hell you were like that. So with a panic attack, it's a lot easier to manage. It doesn't necessarily feel like that to start off with. It can feel like you're losing control, and that's fine, okay, because that's what a panic attack is. It's essentially our nervous system telling us that there's a danger and that we need to either run or fight, so we're in that battle in that moment. But it's up to us to rationalize it, to tell ourselves no, there's nothing around that I need to be panicking about. So I need to take that step back. I need to take my deep breaths. I need to calm myself, relax myself, and bring myself down. And it's up to us, like I say, guys, to take that responsibility for our own actions and make sure that we are looking after our own mental health so that we don't let that happen. With anxiety attacks, it's one of those things that if it's happening and it's happening for a long time, it's about recognizing why that's happening. Now, generally, it's something that's outside in your environment or something that is affecting you. So it is going to be something that is fixable, and it is something that you can work on. So it's just about identifying those weak points in your life, or not even the weak points, but the things that are challenging you that don't necessarily need to challenge you. It's up to you to see the things that are causing you stress and anxiety, and it's up to you to put them right. So this is your opportunity to do that. It's about taking control of your life and being responsible for your own mental health and your own life, basically. But guys, make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I know that a lot of you haven't, and that's fine. If you don't want to subscribe, it's not a problem. But if you're interested in my videos and you do like to watch stuff about mental health, and you want to know more about my insights and my mind and what I'm doing and what I want to share with you guys, then please subscribe. And just a gentle reminder, guys, that you can bring yourself down from a panic attack and an anxiety attack. The simple thing that I find is very, very beneficial for me is that I can find somewhere that is safe and quiet. Nobody else is around, and I can just be with myself and not have too much stimulus going on out there. So if I can, I will meditate. So if I can, I will sit and I will meditate and I will just enjoy being with myself. So, guys, find your safe space. Find your little nook where you can just sit and be yourself and just be with yourself too. Please make sure that you talk about your anxiety. Talk about your troubles, talk about your mental health, because if we talk about it, it makes a problem halved. And that is all from me this time. I will see you really fucking soon. You take care. Bye bye.